Scott Bolden, who joins us to talk more about this historic moment in American criminal history. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So we are talking right off the top about the historic nature here of this happening. And you just heard Rob ask how quickly this process could move. There's something called the Speedy Trial Act that requires people to move through this criminal process quickly. So what is your guess about how quickly things move now that we know that there is an indictment toward an arraignment and a potential trial?
Well, the indictment has to be unsealed by the grand jury judge. As you know, I'm a former prosecutor from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. And so the indictment hasn't been unsealed, or as we would say, handed down yet. This is what the leaks have reported. So that's a process. Now, you got to remember, next week you got Passover and Easter coming. They don't have to unseal this indictment at any time, in any given time frame. He's just been indicted. The Speedy Trial Act starts to run once he is arraigned, if you will, whether it's state or federal. So there's no speedy time requirements right now. That's the first thing. Second of all, I think New York and the police and the criminal justice system and the prosecutors will get together to work to make sure and to see how this plays out, or how they lay it out for security purposes. And then thirdly, there'll be communications with Joe Tacopino, Trump's lawyer, in regard to when he will be submitted for fingerprints and processed for arrest before he appears in court, usually the same day. You get there a little early, they process him, and then he will appear in court with his lawyer. They'll plead not guilty to the charges, but you got the Secret Service involved. So this will take a lot of coordination if the reports are correct that he has been indicted.
The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is no stranger to high-profile individuals either getting indicted or in the grand jury room. So what specifically do you think steps that are happening right now in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as they prepare, assuming it is correct that President Trump has been indicted, as they prepare to move forward to those next steps you're talking about? What's happening in those hallways right now behind the scenes?
Well, they're not celebrating. This is the beginning, not the end of this process. There's some relief that we got this done, but this took years of investigation. And so they're crossing their T's, dotting their I's, and then they're talking about logistics, right? How do we make this happen, right? How do we protect our people if they're protesters? Remember, protecting this people is really important. Their people is really important. Secondly, they're on the phone with the criminal defense lawyers. They're announcing, or they have told him already, he's been indicted, right? Thirdly, he can talk and say whatever he wants to say, but psychologically, being indicted, which is not a conviction, he's still innocent until proven guilty. They're also talking to the defense attorney, they may be, about what's in the indictment, what those charges are, and then when do you want to submit it? And how do we go through logistics on that? But in the hallways of the district attorney's office, they're just doing their job, basically. Given it's a high-profile matter, this office has a strong national history of being first, whether it was BCCI in the 80s or whether it was the feds fighting with the state, with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as to who was going to take the lead on criminal conduct taking place in New York. And so they're just getting ready. They're doing their jobs, right? But they want to choreograph this the right way because they're under public scrutiny and a defendant that has no problem using his bully pulpit to round up and get his supporters riled up. And so a lot of logistics going on right now, as well as working with the police, the Secret Service, and the criminal defense lawyers right now.
Scott Bolden, this is Jim Loke. Thank you very much for joining us on this. Obviously not the last we're going to talk about this.